Let me just identify the members that are here. We have Councilman Jones.
Present.
Thank you. And just looking for the other two members to ensure that we actually have, I guess we should do a roll call. Oh, Councilman Marks is here.
And Councilman Crandall.
And Councilman Crandall. And actually, I see Councilman Catch floating through my office right now. Okay, so that's fine. Let's begin.
So the first hearing today is with the fire department, and I would like to introduce Deanna Leedy from my office, who will be giving the budget overview.
Good afternoon. The proposed fiscal year 25 budget for the fire department totals $135.3 million, an increase of $4.8 million or 3.7% over the fiscal year 24 budget. On page 2 of the analysis, the largest portion of the department's budget, the general fund budget, totals $132.2 million and increases by $4.8 million or 3.8%. However, after accounting for the department's upcoming fiscal year 2024 budget appropriation transfer and upcoming supplemental appropriation totaling a combined $6.9 million to cover callback and overtime expenses, the proposed fiscal year 2025 budget reflects a decrease of $2.1 million or 1.5% from the fiscal year 2024 budget. The special fund portion of the budget, which includes $192,000 in county local share matching funds, totals $3.2 million and increases by $23,000 or a 0.7%. On page 3, Exhibit 1 displays the department's budget history as well as its general fund reversion each year, or in the case of fiscal year 2024, the anticipated close to $7 million shortfall. The pie charts show how the proposed funding will be allocated. Fire and Emergency Medical Services Program personnel represent the largest program expenditures, and personnel costs represent the largest category of expenditures. On page 4, the analysis notes the areas within the budget that may reflect department-specific budget flexibility in an effort to provide insight into the operational context for any potential reductions. However, budget flexibility appears to be limited within the fire department due to staffing issues and callback costs. Operating budget highlights, which begin on page 5, include personnel expenses, non-personnel operating expenses, contributions to volunteer fire companies, and special funds. Additional topics for discussion include implementation of FACET's report recommendations, staffing challenges and initiatives, and American Rescue Plan Act spending. And finally, capital budget highlights begin on page 12. So at this time, I would like to turn it over for discussion.
So I have some questions, Ms. Leedy.
Sure.
But first, let me ask, do any of the members have any questions, comments, or thoughts? Okay. So I just want to be clear.
I have a question.
I'm sorry, David. Councilman Marks.
Sure, thank you. How much money did EMS billing bring in last year? Do you know?
Oh, let me see here.
Do we have that off the top of our heads, or?
If I remember correctly, I know they budgeted for about their anticipated is about 37 million for this year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's interesting because I remember when the council passed the legislation allowing for this, I'm guessing 2015, somewhere around there, and I thought it was much lower. So we seem to be bringing in a lot more money than we originally expected. I thought it was like around 16 or 17 million, but thank you for answering the question.
I'll check and see if I'll get you that number and give it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're
37
welcome.
million is what is showing in the budget. And also there was a change that allowed for Medicare recipients, I believe. Is that, I see, Kevin, is that correct? That allowed for billings to occur?
Okay, and that money comes in to us as part of the general budget, correct?
Correct.
Doesn't,
General
doesn't,
fund revenue.
doesn't specifically go earmarked for stations or whatever, it just goes right in the general fund. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, do any of the members have any other questions for Ms. Leedy? Ms. Leedy, I have just a couple of questions.
Sure.
I want to make sure I understand the baseline of what you said is correct. So on July 1 of 2024, we anticipate that going into July 1, right now the fire department has a $7 million shortfall. And
Correct.
so we need to remedy that before we close out the year.
Correct.
And so will that remedy, and if you're not the right person, and I'll wait for the agency to chime in. So agencies, listen up, this might be questions for you. So that remedy will be a BAT, a budget appropriation transfer from another agency, is what I'm assuming. You don't have to answer that. If anybody's, okay, Kevin.
Mr. Chair, yeah, it's actually going to be a twofold. It's going to be a supplemental appropriation for $1.8 million, I believe. I'm sorry, $1.8 million from contingency that we have first reading tonight, combined with a BAT from multiple agencies that will be presented on the June 30 vote.
That
And
operating contingency,
Yes, sir.
and that comes from, what does that do to our 14% fund balance?
It's already been budgeted for. It's part of a $2.5 million contingency line. We were about $4 million under spending affordability. This will bring us up closer in FY24. Again, talking about last year. But again, this is it's a twofold strategy to address the deficit in the fire department with many different small savings amounts in other areas that won't affect spending affordability, that will still leave us with a $2.5 million general fund surplus overall at the end of FY24.
And so part of it's coming from supplemental appropriation. And then the next, and tell me the other part, is it going to come from the police department? Is that who usually bails out the fire department?
Sir, it's coming from multiple departments, about 9 different departments, with probably police being the lion's share.
Okay. And so we heard last week that the police were also we're going to address a deficit, the year-end deficit, with corrections. And
Yes, sir.
so, question I have, and I've asked this at the last meeting, is we know historically that the fire department, because I remember the BAT from last year, that historically, and again, past performance is the best way to predict the future. And so we know historically this happens with the fire department every year, and then, or in the last couple of years, I don't want to stretch what I don't know. And so why wouldn't we just say, let's appropriate less to the police department, more to the fire department, and more to corrections, because that's our best estimation of what has happened in the past, instead of trying to do budget gymnastics at the end of the year.
Well, Mr. Chair, with that, I'll say the police department, again, their unexpended was about a little less than $2 million that, has been closing in recent years. And we found that our budgets are more, I'll leave it to the department to address the callback that has been climbing in recent years. I can't address that, but this is our budgetary strategy to close out this year. Again, if we look at prior years, it's not uncommon to have a handful of BATs or supplementals at the end of a fiscal year. It's part of what we manage and what we do every quarter. We monitor these general fund budgets, and this is something that, we try to make adjustments. And I know the fire department tried to make adjustments, and we do try to come in Within budget. With that said, there are some times where we can't, and a lot of these are issues that, especially if we're dealing with snowstorms or we have other emergencies that draw on fund balances that we would need these adjustments. But so it again, we're trying to have less of them going forward. We have compared to a couple years ago, we had, I think, over 10. But again, there will be a handful on the June 3rd meeting. And it's something we do look at as far as multiple different agencies and making sure that they have the adequate resources to continue in the next year. But I think the takeaway is the county as a whole on the operating budget side is going to be okay. We have a surplus in revenues and we will have a surplus in expenditures for FY24.
I got that, and I'm not going to editorialize on it. But the other question I have is, so Ms. Leedy indicated that there was a $4.8 million increase in fiscal 25 for the fire department, which is about 3%. I think she said a little bit more than 3. Does that address the upcoming shortfall, or does that happen for COLAs, or does that help retirees? What is that increase of 4.8 million for? Or will it abate the situation of year-end budget action?
Mr. Chair, I'm beginning on I think page 6 and 7 have a lot of the increases and decreases about what that will go to as far as the general fund. I would toss that over to the department to talk about the future strategies to
Okay.
rein in callback and overtime.
I'll stop and allow the departments to speak. Thanks, Mr. Reed. Thank you, Mr. Levy.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
Any of the members have any questions, comments, thoughts? Then I guess we're going to kick it over to the department. Is the Chief Rund here?
Yes, sir, I am. Can you hear me okay? Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to present virtually. I apologize for being out of town, but to celebrate, my granddaughter took second in nationals for cheerleading, so have to be proud of her for a hot second. Thank you for the opportunity and the honor to be able to promote the fire department budget before you today. The fire department supports the county's efforts to deploy good fiscal practices. The department continues to work on the increased needs for service and will need to make great strides in the future to keep that service level as expected from our citizens. The requests put forth in this budget request are made in that spirit. As you know, the department responded on the Key Bridge collapse. We would like to express our heartfelt gratitude for your unwavering support during that time of the collapse and also throughout my time as your fire chief. Your support has been instrumental in ensuring safety and well-being of our community during all these challenging times. The coordinated efforts with your commitment to public safety and effective communication has made a significant impact. On behalf of all those affected, please accept our sincere thanks for your dedication and hard work. Your leadership has been a beacon of hope and reassurance during these difficult times. This will be my last budget presentation before you, and I want to extend also my personal thanks for your partnership over these past 5 years. It has been a pleasure working with all of you. And finally, the department as a whole is very thankful for any and all budget efforts the county and the council can provide, and we would like to request full support of our budget proposal today. Our efforts towards our supplemental appropriation is due to the obligation that is required for us with the MOU on daily minimum staffing levels. When necessary, callbacks have to be utilized to maintain this minimum level of staffing. That, compiled with our vacancy rates being higher than usual, created multiple factors that caused us issues. Sick leave increases, modified duty assignments, etc. Although we worked very diligently with the budget office and with the administration to plan for these things, there are some times that they fall short. Working with the administration and Local 1311 over this last year, we have done some significant things to assist in this effort. We have taken care of our sick leave policy and reworked it with an anticipation of reducing sick leave usage. We've also reduced the number of callbacks needed because we have changed the way we do our staffing levels in a better way. The department also has gotten that 2% increase with regards to grants for volunteer companies There's $2 million that's appropriated them for their medic units, and we've been able to support them with 6 replacement units already. And we are also anticipated to replace 4 of those this coming year. The timeframes for those are like 48 months for a turnaround, but we're working diligently with them to identify which companies will be replaced and which companies are lined up afterwards. In addition to that, the 2% appropriation of the budget's overall is to establish our 8-year replacement program, 7 to 8 year replacement program for those ambulances for those volunteer companies. That is a fully funded appropriation for them, so they don't have to put the 20% down like they usually do when they go to their budget. They call it their little budget line that they go into with for their loan fund. They don't have to do that with this. They actually get their units fully funded. And if they want anything extra on that, then they can add that to them themselves. But we think that's a pretty good thing for them. Grant funding also is going to be used to assist us with continuing with community risk reduction specialists. We're going to have some cancer screening and peer support training for our personnel because, as you know, mental health and cancer is also one of the biggest contributors to our personnel. We also have gotten a mobile integrated health program that is going to assist us with the needs of the citizens that are growing with regards to people that are falling and they need help to be gotten up and they need meals and they just need some sort of assistance, but they tend to call 911 to support that when they don't have anyone else to support them. So therefore, we have stepped into working with our grant process to institute a mobile integrated health program, and we'll also be teaming up with the health department to assist us in that effort. We've also purchased supplies and equipment for our ALS support and training. Our ALS support in that aspect, equipment is quite expensive, and as equipment expires out, we have to replace that. So our grant efforts have been able to assist us with that as well. And then also continuing salary costs for our quick response team. That is the response team that we work with the health department on that is specific to mental health and overdose, et cetera. And then we are also continuing with our emergency management efforts. As you've known, all of the increased needs for service lately with the Key Bridge collapse, with the 8 alarm, brush fire, et cetera, those things actually need more support for our citizens throughout the recovery phase, and our emergency management office assists significantly with that. When it comes to the facet study, we are excited to start moving towards working with that. Our recent incident at the Reisterstown Road area, when we did our after action review with that, MOSH actually assisted us in that effort, and they recommended that we work towards getting our safety officers in place. So with that, we had made a recommendation to the administration, and they've been very supportive of that. So we hope to be moving towards getting those safety officers in as the first phase of that FAST study implementation. In addition to that, as you know, we were able to establish a human resources office within our fire department. That is going to help us significantly, which I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, when it comes to retaining employees and being able to do some good recruitment efforts. Additional chief officers, the recommendations that were placed into that, we are looking at that. However, there are many discussions with the administration and all parties that are affected in that area to be completed, and agreements have to be made before we can actually step into a timeline that will be established for the implementation of that. However, please know that that is in motion and that we are working very diligently towards that. We also have put an implementation team together that has identified the high priority needs with regards to the Reisterstown Mayday incident. And that team has also been taking a look at what our facets recommendations are and what the MOSH recommendations are to see what could be implemented as quickly as possible. And we're hopeful to have that implementation process laid out very soon. Now, with regards to our vacancies and hoping to get this vacancy rate down and working very diligently to recruit and retain within the fire service, with the addition of our human resources section of the fire department, which we are very excited to have on board, they have been able to take over the majority of the lion's share, if you will, of the hiring efforts. So that will release our recruitment and retention section to actually be able to work diligently towards recruitment efforts. As you know, recruitment and retention is a fire service issue nationwide. It is not just to our department alone. And we're finding that work-life balancing, flexibility, and autonomy are increasingly important to those that are entering into the workforce now. So we're taking a look at what's happening around the nation and how can we actually utilize some of that information to help us better recruit and look for our personnel. We've got to be more visible and more engaged out there with the community as we go out to find candidates for our profession. And we have noticed a slight increase in our applicant pool since we have instituted some of these things. Our recruitment division has assembled a peer recruitment team to bolster their mission, and that helps them attend more career fairs and more events where they can actually reach out to more and more applicants along the way. In addition to that, we've also teamed up with the police department, and we've met with the corrections department to talk about what are you doing to get in more candidates? How can we make ourselves better? How can we tag on to what you're doing? Is there anything that we can do to make a better recruitment effort on our end? So the pride, the leadership in the department, proper training, actually encouraging our personnel to do recruitment on their own, because who better to recruit for our personnel than our people that actually work here themselves? So our in-service training initiatives, in addition to that, are also boosting our morale with regards to being more competitive and more competent and satisfied and having a satisfied workplace. We are also focusing on leadership development and implementing practical, cost-effective changes to our uniform policy that should be making a positive impact on our morale, and being able to show that we have different ways to basically work with our personnel to make them more comfortable, make them more happy while they're at their workplace. These efforts, coupled with the competitive compensation benefits and pension packages, will help us overcome our recruitment and retention challenges. In addition to that, we have several things that happened in our last negotiations, not the current one, not able to speak about that right now, but our past one. We actually increased a hiring advancement bonus remaining for 5 years, so that there's a retention bonus that is added on for our ALS providers. So that assisted us. We actually had a larger than what expected candidate pool for paramedics this last time when we recruited, which was really nice. And then we were structuring our educational content within the academy to actually make it more of a college-based type profile to see if that helps the success rate of our candidates, because we noticed that their national registry program tends to be the one where they really struggle. So we're trying to do different things in that aspect to make that better for them so that we can retain them even better. And last but not least, to talk about some of our capital projects that we have going on. The projects from our perspective are on pace for meeting the identified timelines. I would have to lean more to property management to talk about the specifics with regards to that, but I would tell you that we're very pleased with the progress that the capital projects are making, and then they're right in line with what we had anticipated, with the hopes of getting the fire stations built and the other items moving forward. With that, sirs, if you have any questions, I am happy to answer them.
Thank you, Chief Rund. Do any of the members have any questions, comments, or thoughts they'd like to share? Councilman Yon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Chief Rund, for running through the budget. I know we've talked about this in the past, so no surprise turns me asking it. How large is the recruitment division that you were referencing?
Currently, we have 2 personnel, but we were able to get approval to hire an administrative support person to assist them. So we'll be very excited to have 3 in their area very soon. But when I also have to add on the peer recruitment team that are actually out in the field, they fluctuate in and out with them as they need to with the recruitment efforts, and they could expand as much up to 6 people.
Got it. And how large is the HR contingent or department that you said you're standing up?
We have 4 in that one, sir.
Got it. And you said that the anticipation is that the new HR division, sorry if I'm using the wrong terminology,
It's okay.
is going to alleviate a lot of the, I guess, clerical work that the recruiters were doing, or the recruitment contingent was doing. that was keeping them from being out?
Yes, so our recruitment division was actually doing the lion's share of the hiring process as well as going out and recruiting. So they were, when the applicants finished their written testing and we got the names of the applicants that had gotten through the written testing process, they were processing them through everything else, background checks, interviews, practical exam, anything that you can think of that would go into a hiring process, our personnel were doing. So
Right.
now that we have an HR section, HR is going to take over the majority of that administrative process with the background checks, the interview scheduling, things like that. The only thing our personnel will be doing is recruitment, and then they will be running the practical exam portion because the HR doesn't really they will, but they don't right now. They're new to our practical exam process. So they'll be assisting with that in the future. But as of right now, they'll just be doing that in addition to the recruitment efforts, sir.
Right. And how long has the recruitment department been just 2 members of the professional staff of the fire department?
As long as anyone can remember.
Got it. I
Yes.
know, and I know anecdotally, without having the numbers in front of me, just talking with firefighters and talking with you and your staff too. Historically, we don't have the same number of people applying to join the fire department, and that's not stuck to Baltimore County, as you mentioned and referenced. It's a nationwide thing. And as I brought up to you as well, we have to adapt with the fact that we don't have as many people just on their own organically applying to be a firefighter for whatever reason. Yet our recruitment office has stayed the same. I didn't see anything, and I could be wrong, and don't say that I sat down and wrote line by line, but I didn't see anything in terms of an increase in the recruitment office's budget. And it may just because it was lumped in somewhere else, but other than the, as you mentioned, there's a new administrative role that's being brought in that you got approval for, and that you are increasing, and I again apologize for saying around the peer-to-peer recruitment wing. Is there an increase in the budget, or is this you're utilizing other resources related to potentially related recruitment and not increasing the recruitment budget to increase their ability to get out there? And I'm obviously clearly I'm talking about more people on the ground engaging with potential hires in Baltimore County, around Baltimore County.
Yes, sir. So as I had mentioned earlier, teaming up with the police department assists us with that because they have a significantly larger amount of funds with regards to getting to sites than we do. Our funding is limited, as you know, and it has to be utilized more in an operational mode than it does a recruitment mode. So we're finding creative ways to be able to manage this, and we're even going to be applying for different types of grants to assist us in that aspect. Those grants have not opened up yet, so we haven't been able to apply for those, but when they do, we will be.
That's good to know. I guess I'm just, since we're in your budget hearing, if the problem is, or not the problem, one of the problems that you referenced is limited resources and having to focus on operational funds. Completely understand that. I don't think anybody on this council, in our engagement with the fire department or rank and file members, would be opposed to a request from the departments for an increase if that seems to be, and I'm not saying it has to match what the police department does, but if that's what you're saying is part of the problem, I just don't see an increase request in the recruitment budget. Or I'm just stating what I noticed. I'm just stating it's, as we know, staffing is an issue, especially here. That's also part of the reason why there was such a shortfall this year. So I'm just, in terms of what the chairman was asking about, how we can appropriately and also effectively anticipate if there's going to be a shortfall next year, it seems to be recruitment's part of that. So I guess I'm hearing about recruitment, and I'm glad that we are utilizing resources and teaming up with other agencies. I just don't see a reflection and a request for more money. I guess that's the end of my statement. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Young. Councilman Marks?
Thank you very much. Ms. Rund, I want to thank you for your service to Baltimore County. You've been very helpful. A number of issues with me, and I wish you the best. I have one question, and it's about White Marsh Volunteer Fire Company, which, as you know, has raised funds through private donations for a second medic unit. They've raised, I think, around $400,000. There have been multiple discussions about the attended status. My understanding is there was a meeting with the county executive staff sometime around March 20th, and there was an expectation the funding would be in the budget for that. And then Ms. Bollinger contacted apparently, or someone associated with the fire service contacted the leadership of the White Marsh Volunteer Fire Company to say that the money wasn't there. So my frustration here is when a company raises money, patches together all these funding sources and comes up with vehicle, and the county can't come through with the money. At the same time, we're raising $36 million in EMS funding that goes right into the general fund when I often get requests from our volunteer fire companies to use that money locally. So my question is this: will there be an attended funding for White Marsh Volunteer Fire Company for that second medic unit?
So they will be in line with everyone else. They will fall right into the profile of all other companies that have second medic units for attended funding. What the volunteers are trying to do is create a paid EMS program, and I've explained to them how they should move forward in that aspect. We will be supporting them just as we do all the other fire companies with attended funding. We are not going to commit anything over and above what we do all of the other volunteer companies, because that would be unfair, sir.
But do you understand my frustration? A volunteer fire company raises this money, and the county should be able to come up with that extra money to make it work. You can see why they're frustrated.
Sir, we have supported them in the aspect of getting this medic unit in service for them. We're very supportive of them.
It does no good if the vehicle just sits there. So I just need to raise that. I thank you for your service. There have been a lot of good things that have happened, and I've defended, the fire company, the fire department. You understand I need to be their advocate. And
Absolutely, sir.
okay, thank you.
Councilman O'Toole.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And thank you, Chief Rung. We're gonna miss you. It's been great working with you. I had two questions. There on page 13, there's a line item about the Towson Fire Station for $5.1 million. It says the Office of Budget and Finance notes this is a correction of funding source. I don't know if that's something that Kevin Reed maybe needs to, I'm not sure what that is. The firehouse was built 12 years ago, so I'm not sure what's going on here.
Mr. Chair, if I may, if I could
Sure, go ahead.
pass that question to Mr. Carpenter, who's familiar with that activity. Matt, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes,
Sure.
Councilman, unfortunately, what had happened is we're in the process of going through and converting all the legacy data from the old AFS system and Capital and bringing it forward into Workday and Adaptive in our systems. And we had one of our interesting consultants, you may know him well, Mr. Ed Blades, was working with us as a part of all of this. And he identified that within one of the projects, particularly the Towson station here, there was a revenue source that was on that particular capital job, and that revenue source related to the sale of the North Point property. However, as we all know, that property never was sold. It was anticipated to be sold, but it never was. So therefore, it left a hole in the capital budget as per se, of saying that there really wasn't, a true receivable or recognized revenue to that particular job wise. So in essence, to correct that mistake, which happened some years ago, as you're talking about, we're basically programming money into the thing to basically cover that thing and to basically balance that receivable that's on the county's books.
Do we owe that money to someone, or is that a bond, or what's?
Well, we have to program basically our PAYGO into that, because there was never anything that covered that particular item. It's just it would be like saying that it's a debt sitting out there that was never recovered, essentially, within the accounting records of the county.
I mean, is that a real dollar amount or is that just a correction?
It's basically a correction and so forth as we're going, sir. But it just has to be done so that the books, that it can be brought forward and the books can balance themselves. However, it like I said, it just is a correction to something that happened years ago that needed to be fixed, bringing forward as we're going all the accounting records into the new system.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Chief, one other question. And I know this isn't my district, David, I apologize, but do we know, are we doing any funding for the new Bowley's Quarters volunteer house at all at this point?
What, oh, I'm sorry, sir, what type of funding? We provide them
Well,
supplement.
they're building a new building. I don't know if we're,
So we are currently in the process of doing a deployment study to determine where and if fire stations should be built in locations. And until that study is completed, we are not committing to any new buildings for any volunteer fire stations.
so if they build it, they'll build it with their own money. Is that what you're saying? Because apparently they're starting to build soon, from what I heard.
I am not aware of that. They have not gone through the full process to be approved to build, sir.
Okay.
I know they're interested in building one. And I know they're talking about it. And I know that we have meetings coming up on the books about different things, but we have not signed any approvals or given any commitments to anything along those lines, sir.
Okay.
Councilman Ertel, can I just ask, is that Middle River? I had to step out. Is that Middle River?
I was talking about Bowley's Quarters.
Bowley's Quarters. Oh, yeah, okay. I can talk to you offline on that, but
Okay.
yeah, okay.
Sorry, I wasn't
No,
trying
no,
to
no, no, no.
interlude into the 5th district, but
No, they serve, we all serve the same area, so I appreciate your support.
Got it, Councilman Ertel?
that's all. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Councilman Jones?
Thank you, Chief.
Councilman, you
You're
have your hand
welcome,
up?
sir.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Chief Rung, I just wanted to congratulate you and wish you well on your retirement. You and I have known each other for many, many years, and I've always known you to be a true professional and a leader and someone who just represented the fire service well and everything you have done. And I guess have a few questions. Number one, again, I guess wish you well in your retirement and in your future endeavors.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. And this is clearly no reflection on you, what I'm about to say, but I just feel the need to say it. You know, I've been in the fire department for 32 years, so I might know something about fire departments as well as the fire department to which I came from. And as you know, by me knowing you over the years, we all know what we're doing, how we're doing in the region, who's doing what, who has what benefits, who has what retirement, who have what pay. We all know these things. And one of the things I'm going to say today is I always felt that Baltimore County want to run the fire department on the cheap. And I think it was clear today when we think about recruitment, we think about what corrections was able to do. We think about the efforts that the police are putting forward, the police, the sheriffs, corrections, they all rolling out these bonuses. And here we are, we don't even have but 2 recruiters, let alone a bonus. Sure, we have a bonus for a paramedic, but that's not new. I mean, people have been doing that for the last 20 years. So I guess what I'm wondering is, do you think, I think, but I would like to know what you think. When we look at things like a 30-year retirement, when I retired under a system of 20 and out, and just about every other jurisdiction around have at least 25-year retirement, and we're still sitting on a 30-year retirement. I'm just curious, and I'm going to ask you, are we serious about recruiting people? Or do we just throw all the resources at other departments and hope that they can recruit people, and we just give lip service?
Are serious within the limitations of what we have, sir, about recruitment. But yes, we are very serious about recruiting. As you know, with your experience, you know where the retirements come from and how they happen and all of that, and we encourage to work towards those efforts. But that's about all we can really do, sir.
I mean, I guess for me, it's sort of astonishing that we were bringing $36 million in ambulance billing. And most people may not know this, but when you think about all the services that county government provide, other than picking up your trash, the service that we provide in the fire service is high up there. In other words, you're more likely to call for an ambulance than you are to call for so many other services in county government. You're more likely to need us to show up within 3 minutes when you're having a heart attack or your loved one's having a heart attack and be able to provide the very best care you can get. These things are extremely important, but for some reason, we just operate on the cheap in Baltimore County. We want to do it with 2 recruiters. We don't want to put any bonuses. We want to stick with a 30-year retirement. So I'm just venting right now. Like I said, Chief Rung, I know you are very limited. You and I have had many of these conversations in the past. And I understand your constraints, but I just feel the need to get it off my chest at this moment. So again, I thank you for your service to the county and your service to the fire service. You've been a true leader and a professional, and I thank the world of you, and I absolutely positively wish you well.
Thank you, sir. That means a lot, and I truly appreciate the support.
You're welcome.
Okay, do any of the members have any additional questions, comments, or thoughts? I have one. First, I do, as Councilman Jones did, Chief Brund, I want to wish you well and thank you for your service. I know that you have a good future ahead of you. I have
Thank
a
you, sir.
question. It really relates to the first paragraph on page 4 of the auditor's report. And I'm trying to understand it. It says for fiscal 24, the department is running an approximate $7 million shortfall, as we heard from Ms. Lee. A lot is primarily due to callback expenses. And so to cover that shortfall, we've used $2 million of ARPA. That takes us down to $5 million. And then we're going to use $6.9 million of additional spending authority. So that's now $9.9 million. Is that right? Am I doing my math right? 6.9 plus the 2 million. So it sounds like we really had an $8.9 million in new money between ARPA and the supplemental appropriation. And so after all of that, now we know what the FY24 costs were. And then we do know what the FY23 costs were. So after all that, our budget for the fire department in fiscal 25, if you read that last sentence in FY20 in the page 4 in the first paragraph, it says after adjusting for the anticipated FY 2024 shortfall, the proposed budget reflects a decrease of 1.5%. So if we know that historically we're not appropriating enough money into the fire department, then why are we decreasing the FY24 budget? And I throw that out to Mr. Reed or whoever would like to take it.
Mr. Chair, I could address part of this. Is the there was an error in the auditor's package. The ARPA was not used in FY24. We had funding 1.5 million in 22 and a very small amount in FY23. So that 2 million should not be in there for ARPA. You know, the 5.2 million that we have budgeted for FY25, we're hoping that, you know, will be sufficient. This is up, you know, callback has been up in a couple of years ago. It would average 1.9, 2.5 million. So we're hoping to see some stabilization, and we'll continue to evaluate and fund as necessary. I did want to touch on real quick, Councilman Young and Councilman Jones, a question about, recruitment and volunteers. We have shuffled the deck, and we actually shifted resources from the police department. 3 cadet positions were transferred from police and reclassed into the HR positions for, and that was done in mid-year in FY24 and FY25 for the fire department. So we were able to add more. Again, giving from our public safety partners, kind of right-sizing the ship, giving the fire department a little more support in that area. So I did want to point that out on page 5. You can see that. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Mr. Reed. So thank you for that clarification. The numbers make a little bit more sense, but I still don't understand why we're decreasing dollars into the fire department. And Mr. Reed, in June of 2025 or May of 2025, I'm going to bring this conversation back up if we are in fact having a supplemental appropriation or back for the fire department.
Yes, sir.
And I have one last question, and I don't know, this could be a question for Ms. Walker. But in terms of recruitment and fire department activities, what role does the fire department have an internal DEI? Does the DEI office work to help recruitment so that we're trying to get not only a good number of recruits, but a diverse set of recruits into the fire department? What are we doing on that end?
You know,
Sir, I
our
can-
DEI department, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead, Madam Mayo.
I was about to say, Mr. Chairman, as you know, our DEI department just did an equity analysis, and we're working on that to give suggestions and tips as it relates to equity to all of our agencies, not just the fire department. So actually, I just had a one-on-one with Savitra, Ms. Peoples, I'm sorry, to talk about making sure that we have an equitable process amongst the agencies as it relates to DEI.
I guess what I'm talking about, not just a process, but figuring out a mechanism to recruit more minorities into the fire department. You know,
Right. So
kind of taking a deep dive on it.
we've taken a deep dive across county government. One of the tips I'll tell you that we talked about, first it takes one of the things that we're looking at are our interview panels. It takes a diverse interview panel to start to look at how you're bringing recruits in and how you're hiring. So we're starting at the lowest levels with a deep dive to look at diversity amongst recruitments across the board, not just the fire department.
So
Hopefully
the
that
reason I'm
answers your question.
suggesting to kind of look at, I think there are some agencies where, and I don't know, maybe this is anecdotal, but I think there's certain agencies which historically have had a difficult time in recruiting a diverse workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason in my mind, and I could be wrong, and I'll ask for Councilman Jones or Chief Run to, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's just something in my head, but I always thought the fire department was one of those agencies that struggled to get to recruit in terms of having a diverse group of recruitments. Is this something in my mind that I'm making up, or is this a true reflection of what the issues are? Councilman Young, you have an answer to this?
No, I had a question, but also I don't want to answer, but I guess a follow-up question. But
Okay.
long before the
Councilman
DEI
Young has a
department,
follow-up
I mean, it's to your point, long before DEI, the department existed, across the board, state government and local government also had diverse hiring issues. Chief Run, is that not accurate to the department? You've had hiring initiatives and diversity initiatives baked into your recruitment up till this point. Is that not accurate?
Yes, sir, we have. And we do have a DEI officer as well that works with the county's DEI officer. And they have also worked with our recruitment division to bolster those efforts.
Right. And that's been around longer than we've had a DEI department.
Yes, that is correct, sir.
Understood. Okay. Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay, that's helpful. That is the answer I was trying to find. Thank you, Councilman Young and Chief Run. Okay, do any of the members have additional questions, comments, or thoughts to share? Okay, I think that concludes this hearing, and we'll move on to the next statement.
And I wanted
Thank
to
you,
make
sir.
a correction to my answer to Councilman Marks. It was actually in 2022, the Maryland General Assembly passed legislation that established the Medicaid supplemental program. So that was what contributed towards more revenue. So just for clarification.
Thank you very much. I'd like to revisit this issue very soon. Thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on to the second hearing today is the Department of Recreation and Parks, and from my office, Chris Earth will be giving the budget overview.
Good afternoon, everybody. The proposed fiscal year 2025 budget for the Department of Recreation and Parks totals 19.4 million, a decrease of 1.7 million or 7.8% from the fiscal year 2024 budget. However, when looking at the total budget, including the revenue producing recreational facilities enterprise fund with a proposed fiscal year 2025 budget of 5.4 million, the total budget increases by 3.1 million or 14%. Similar to Metropolitan District funds, the council is not appropriating the recreational facilities funds. The executive branch's authority to charge fees and budget certain costs within the recreational facilities fund is provided in Article 10, Title 11 of the Baltimore County Code. A portion of the executive's new Reimagine Recreation and Parks initiative is funded in fiscal year 2025 via this recreational facilities enterprise fund. So as you can see on pages 1 and 2 of the analysis, the largest portion of the department's budget, the general fund budget, totals 18.4 million and increases by 2.3 million or 14.6%. This general fund increase is primarily due to additional personnel expenses from a net 46 new positions related to the Reimagine Recreation and Parks initiative. The special fund portion of the budget totals 1 million and decreases by 4 million or 79.7%, primarily due to the ending of the group leadership grant program and the movement of department directed programs expenses to the recreational facilities enterprise fund as part of that Reimagine Recreation and Parks initiative. The enterprise fund portion of the budget totals 5.4 million and increases by 4.7 million or 637.3%, again primarily due to that Reimagine Recreation and Parks initiative. The fund is anticipated to be self-sustaining in fiscal year 2024 and fiscal year 2025. On page 3, the exhibit displays the department's budget history, as well as the general fund reversions. The pie charts show how the proposed funding will be allocated across the areas of spending. Recreation services represents the largest program allocation, while personal costs represent the largest type of expenditure. Also on page 3, the analysis notes the areas within the budget that may reflect department-specific budget flexibility in an effort to provide insight into the operational context for any potential reductions. Our analysis concludes that there is a notable amount of flexibility in the department's budget, owing to likely salary savings in excess of budgeted turnover, along with some capital budget earmarked expenses funded by general fund pay-go contributions. Operating budget highlights, which begun on page 5, analyzes the drivers of the changes within the general and special funds. Personnel expenses, which total 14.9 million, and other operating expenses, which total 3.5 million, are detailed. Page 8 overviews changes to the Recreational Facilities Enterprise Fund, including new revenue streams and fee structures. Page 9 delves into the department's Reimagine Recreation and Parks initiative, which includes funding for the initiative and information about structural and programming changes as part of the initiative. Page 12 reviews the department's planned use for ARPA funds, and pages 13 and 14 highlight the capital budget and wrap up with an overview of the county's planned use of state programming open space funding. At this time, I'm happy to turn it over for discussion and questions.
Do any of the members have any questions, comments, or thoughts to share with Mr. Earth? Okay, I guess, Mr. Smith, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to answer questions regarding the FY25 proposed budget for the Department of Recreation and Parks. Often it's been mentioned that I've been in this system since I was a teenager. While it's certainly true, it also means I'm potentially getting old. But with that comes some sense of history of the agency. And in our 75 years, we turned 75 this year, this budget submittal represents maybe the largest increase in our budget in the history of our department. The budget seeks to continue the trajectory of this agency towards becoming what it always should be the goal, a fully functioning department for the residents and visitors to the county. For too long, our staff have worked tirelessly with less resources than their peers in other local jurisdictions. Our residents have accepted less in program offerings. Our park users have accepted deferred maintenance as the norm. We have not protected our parklands or forests as well as we should, and we for far too long have required too much support in funding and time from our very important stakeholders, the recreation and nature councils. Recreation parks agencies can be a positive impact on so many aspects of our communities. They can drive economic impact, improve the environment, improve the well-being of our communities, and decrease crime. U.S. residents visit a park 22 times a year. Studies suggest there's an 8 to 10% increase in home values located next to parks. Physician-diagnosed depression is 33% higher in homes located in areas with the fewest green spaces. And adolescents who don't participate in after-school activities are 27% more likely to be arrested and 49% more likely to use drugs. This funding for us helps us continue to be this positive force in our county. While a generational increase over the last 6 years, investment in this agency is greatly appreciated and a tremendous improvement, we are still well behind our per capita investment compared to local jurisdictions. This year's budget will raise us from a per capita spending from 2019 of about $18.49 per resident to $35.45 this year. For comparison, Baltimore City is at $85.79 and Howard County is at $88.30. The national average is $94. So with this new influx of funding that we are seeking, we will have a number of new positions coming online. We understand the challenges that come with that. We're hoping to continue to maintain our staff as well as attract new staff. We have recently had conversations with staff from HR and Class and Comp to work on a comprehensive recruitment and retention strategy for both our full-time employees and our occasional employees. We do employ about 1,000 occasional employees. These are your gym attendants and park attendants that we'll have vacancies for. And additionally, we believe that this investment signals a change in the agency in the views of recreation professionals, making Baltimore County a more appetizing place for recreation professionals to come to want to engage in this work. As we move through these changes, as is mentioned, there are fees and revenues kind of into the system. We're currently working with our stakeholder groups from the recreation and nature councils to find agreeable solutions to some of these fees. Once we have these finalized, we will work through the appropriate county approval processes for fees, and we plan to brief the council on these potential fees before we go to the public. Our goal is to have this all completed by this summer. We understand that the changes that we are indicating and looking to do raise certain concerns in the community, and we have tried to do our best to communicate out to our user groups and the general public. Although there's always room for improvement in communication, we have had quite a bit of engagement with councils, both nature and recreation, and the general public with emails, meetings, as well as public-facing webpage outlining some of the potential changes. In addition to our regular project input meetings, our staff meetings with councils that happen monthly, and our annual meetings from leadership with the councils, as well as interactions with the Board of Recreation and Parks, we currently have just finished 4 in-person listening sessions across the county. We've had regular meetings with 2 stakeholder groups representing both nature and recreation councils. And in the in-person sessions, we received over 200 questions from the public. We're working to correlate all of those questions and post them in corresponding answers to the public. We're scheduling these kind of in-person meetings now twice a year to engage the general public. Additionally, we're launching a capital project public page and have recently added our strategic plan and public-facing policies to our website. And our goal is to continue to increase those public-facing resources to the community. One of the key points in our history is we have these amazing stakeholder recreation and nature groups. And so we're trying to formalize the relationship with them through an MOU process. We have begun the process with the nature councils. It was a primary concern to them. They are currently reviewing a draft MOU and will provide us recommendations and concerns they may have, questions they may have. And then we are now working on developing a draft MOU for the recreation councils. Our goal is to have them both completed as soon as we can. However, we want to be clear that it's more important to get these done right than fast, because we want to have these, engaged with both of these nature and recreation council stakeholders appropriately. We've recently launched our Civic Rec system, enabling us to take permits online. Currently, the costs for the Civic Rec system is in OIT's budget, although we do have some costs associated with hardware that is being funded through ARPA. The benefits are that the general public can in real time see what is or is not available for a park field or a pavilion, or register for a department event at their leisure without having to go to an office and bring a cashier's check or a money order and get there between a certain timeline. They can do it right online. So that enables the residents to have greater access to the recreational opportunities or recreation amenities. For example, you used to get your boating permit at Loch Raven Reservoir. You used to have to drive up on Shawan Road and back up in traffic and meander into the office and have our staff process it manually over the course of a couple of days. We did it all online without anyone having to take time off work to go up there and engage in that. So it just helps take time away from protect time from the residents and makes our staff more efficient. And then as we move through the remainder of the kind of report recommendations and our agency improvements, we'll continue to implement the recommendations over the next probably 2 years. This will include some systematic schedule review of our policies, which we've done once, but need to do continually. Build out appropriate organizational charts, develop and continue program development. And additionally, we're in the process of review of the joint use agreement with BCPS, which was a high level recommendation from the report and is also of vital importance to our user groups for access to the school sites. And finally, we are hosting a CAPRA team. CAPRA is the Commission for Accreditation for Recreation and Parks Agencies. They are in town this week doing a review of our policies and procedures, where if we pass the accreditation, we'll be one of 206 agencies in the nation, out of about 10,000 agencies to hold that accreditation. So they just arrived today and they will spend the next kind of 2.5 days going through all of our policies and procedures. So we are on a good path forward, and we feel with your approval of the budget, we can continue that work to invest in our system, invest in our staff, and invest in our communities. But I will take any questions, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Do any of the members have any questions, comments, or thoughts to share?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Councilman Katz.
thank you very much. Bob, I want to thank you for the job you're doing at Rec and Parks. I know that compared to other subdivisions, the amount of money that we expend per resident in Baltimore County is much lower than other counties. And, unfortunately, when you visit other counties, you can see the difference. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but I really thank you for what you're doing to maximize what we have so that as many people can enjoy it as possible. Because, and of course, I'm one to talk, but recreation and exercise and that kind of thing, being out in nature is very good for people. It really is. It helps with their health and everything else. And, I need to get out more. But I have a question about the Reimagine program. And I want to thank you for working with communities with specific issues first, like the lighting issues and et cetera. You know what I'm talking about. So no need to get into it because it's local. But with the Reimagine program, my concern is I don't want the county. I mean, we can't have the county have a fee structure that discourages people from joining. or participating in our activities in the county. Now, I've done and talked with a couple of rec councils, actually 3, and they've done some calculations with some fee schedules that have been proposed. And, all I can tell you is the end result for some of the various sports opportunities, whatever, are pretty daunting. They really are. And, I'm not going to, I checked their math and they were right. Since I was a math teacher, I checked their math and they are right. In cases where the fee would go up 10 times or what it is today. And I'm sure that's not what we have in mind, because you will have people leaving. My question is, I have a couple questions. First of all, it's true that the county council has no authority over the reimagined fee schedule? Isn't that a true statement?
Well, I'll take your first part of the question first, and then I may defer the question to law related to the legality. For the first part, there has been no published fee schedule. So the calculations that the councils are doing is not quite accurate. And I will attest that one of the points, and I mentioned earlier on where communication and preparation could always be better. I'll give you an example. The civic rec system, currently there's no fee structure, right, for recreation. The only fee structure is for a for-profit agency as exists currently. The civic rec system was built and pulls from can only pull from existing fees. So when a recreation council made a permit, it pulled that high level fee and then zeroed it out because it deducted it because it's a rec council, in essence, a rec council discount, for lack of a better term. But the number was large, which caused this angst, rightfully so, amongst the councils. I can tell you in our meetings with the stakeholder groups that we have settled on a number of things, such as the recreation level programming, the 7-8 in-house, the T-ball. There are no additional fees for those type of programs planned at all. The only fee structure conversations are travel or club level, recreation council travel or club level programs or adult programs. And we have worked with the stakeholder groups to develop what they're going to be. So they are in the room for the conversation, sir. Those councils, including some of yours, sir, are in that meeting to come to a reasonable fee. We are not looking to charge an outside for-profit fee to the internal recreation council program.
Now, my question is, and you think that the law office should answer it, that whether or not, I don't think the council has to approve or disapprove the fee schedule. I believe that it is a situation where I guess the county executive's decision is the final decision. Is that a true statement?
This is Susan Dubin from the law office.
Susan, how are you?
I'm good. Section 3-1-202B of the county code says that the county administrative officer is the one who sets the fees.
Okay, so I will talk with her. We've had talks before where well, she owes me stuff anyhow, but we won't go into that. But the other situation then with the for the new administrative officer, welcome. Anyhow, to make that decision, I'm going to give everybody your address. But anyhow, coming back to this, for the enterprise fund itself, is that, I don't think that the council can cut that or touch that at all. Isn't that a true statement? Susan?
Yes, it is. You're correct.
So we as a council have no control over the fee schedule and no control over the funds in the budget related to the enterprise. Okay, fun. Okay, I just wanted to, and you know, I have confidence in Bob that you know I mean he's not going to allow a fee schedule because I know where he lives too. But anyhow, so a fee schedule that's going to discourage people from becoming, from joining, and I think of, guess what sport, Bob? Which one am I?
Sir, if I would wager a guess, I would say pickleball, sir.
How did you know? Yeah, I mean,
I-
they're very
this is-
concerned. And
This is what I do for a living, sir. So
what,
yes,
pickleball? Or not?
recreation. So
I know, but, so anyhow, I mean, we all, everybody on the council is concerned. People are concerned. And, I don't know if you would know, Bob, or I'm sure, I guess, I don't know if Kevin, you would know, with Carroll County, Harford County, I don't know anything about Howard County, is a greater percent of their funds for their budgets each year, are they coming from the general fund, or are they coming from a enhanced fee schedule? Do you have any idea?
I could give you the breakdown, sir. I can get the breakdown together for you, sir.
Good.
The majority of their funds come through general fund, but they do have very significant fee structure parcels. For instance, Anne Arundel County runs all of the child care programs
Oh.
in the county, and they generate like $9 million in that fee. So it's a mixed bag. Each jurisdiction is slightly different in how they calculate fees and revenue. But I'd be glad to get that information.
Yeah,
to you if you'd
I
like.
think that's important to know. I mean, we don't want a fee schedule that is going to chase people away, or where they could get
Neither do we,
similar
sir.
services in the private sector. I mean,
I agree,
with-
sir.
you understand. So, well, I thank you very much. And I know each member of the council would, if there are discussions going on and you in a particular district and you think it might be helpful to involve a council member, I'm sure that that member would be more than happy to participate, be there, etc. So I thank you very much.
Yes, sir. And we'll make sure the council is aware of when we hold public input meetings. And we did have some council members attend our recent listening sessions.
Okay.
Ms. Walker, sorry. Ms. Walker, did you have an answer to one of Councilman Catch's questions?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. Councilman Catch, I will give you a letter in advance before we put the fee schedule out to the public. And as Bob mentioned, they will come around and do briefings with each of you all so that you know. And I will continue collaboration with the council so that you know well in advance before we put it out to the public.
Are those 5 roads paved yet?
You know what?
What?
I'm gonna check on that for you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Walker.
Thank you. Yeah,
Mhm.
appreciate it.
Councilman Young?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Smith, thanks for, as always, the representation of the department and the work you're doing and presenting the budget. I also appreciate you referencing the importance and impact sports has on youth around not just our county, but everywhere, in terms of making sure that having adequate programming, how important it is to other aspects that are related, but you don't really think about it up front. You think about just what they're learning from these programs and interacting with others, but then how that plays into their life in the future. So I appreciate you, one, recognizing that comes from your wealth of experience in the field. I also want to say, I was one of the folks that went to one of the listening sessions, and I know that we've been engaging since the Reimagine recommendations came out, and I appreciate, one, your participation in dialogue, one with us, and I know, not to speak for my other colleagues, but you've been willing to dialogue, your staff's been willing to dialogue, and answer questions from constituents that are understandably were concerned, still are concerned, and also acknowledging, while nothing's perfect, the rollout could have been better. There's some misinformation that has also made it hard to implement the program. So I think we all learn a lesson from this too. That being said, though, I want to make sure that moving forward too, there is some concern about what's in these listening sessions when, just like the acknowledgement of it could have been rolled out better. Acknowledgement of legitimate concerns for what they see with the re-envisioning that could still potentially impact programs that are being offered. And I guess what I'm asking is, because of past dialogue, willing to kind of help us out with this when in practice, these programs, whether they're either affiliated with REC or because of their own nature, they can't be affiliated with REC in the way that we're defining it. If it does adversely affect a REC program that's been providing sports to youth, especially in an area that the REC Council isn't providing it, that there's flexibility to acknowledge that program and the work they're doing with our youth, even though they may not fall into that definition and under that REC Council umbrella like we've talked about and discussed.
Yes, sir. And I should have mentioned, and my apologies, that the department also stands ready for groups that maybe they were affiliated with the REC, maybe they're not now. These kind of non-traditional groups that the agency hasn't worked to facilitate access to. We think the agency should play a bigger role in that as well. Because some of these are just, you have a group of 15 people want to get together to play basketball and they don't know what to do. That's a role where the agency, to not overburden the Recreation Council, come and say, hey, look, we'll set up a drop-in program for you and schedule it out. So the flexibility of the agency to also step in and honestly to do responsibly things we haven't done in the past, which is engage some of these non-traditional user groups. We've just been like, well, go talk to a council or not, but we have a responsibility, I feel, that we haven't done, that we need to engage with these groups.
Right.
Because the goal is to facilitate as much recreation access as we can.
Right. And I have no reason to believe from your willingness to plan this out and acknowledging how things could have moved better, but trying to address those concerns now. And I'm sure everybody has an example in their own district. I just try not to belabor anything. I'm thinking specifically of the Arbutus Little League, where the Rec Council does not provide baseball. Since 1953, it's been baseball and softball through the Arbutus Little League. They fall out of that category of a Rec Council program, but they're the only ones providing that service. So obviously, there's still trepidation there from them in terms of how fee structures will be affecting them, but wanting to make sure that there's flexibility in recognizing what they provide, which is just like you talked about. It provides that sports opportunity. It provides something, and it has been providing it, and how we can acknowledge that and the volunteerism of the folks participating. So I know you're going to do that. I just wanted to make sure I plug that for my concern moving forward, that which sometimes gets lost in government. We're not always as flexible as we could be or should be, and I hope in this situation that we're able to be that way. So I appreciate your dialogue. Last question. I appreciate the time, Mr. Chairman. You might have mentioned this. I just wanted to ask, from the special fund decrease, and I know the percentage is high, but in terms of the budget, I think it was like $3.1 million, and it referenced in the analysis. Good reason. I just want to give you a chance to kind of talk about the decrease in special funds, where the other, and you mentioned DNR in the analysis. So I want to give you a chance to talk about that decrease and like what's replacing it or what's being done in its place.
Can you repeat the question again, sir? I cut it out.
The special fund decrease. It was a large percentage, but in terms of money, it was $3.1 million. I was just giving you a chance to kind of explain to everybody what the decrease was, where it's going, what's replacing it, not piece for piece. You mentioned DNR in the analysis. That's having its own program that we're tying into. So I just wanted, it's a large decrease for special funds, and special funds generally are, as we know, specifically allocated for the department for particular use. And since we're not using it, what are we going to be doing instead since we're losing the money?
Yeah, most of the decrease in the special fund is rolling over into the recreation fund. So it's just putting it all into one appropriate fund. So the decrease is being caught in there, but also the special fund, if you're referencing the group leadership fund, which was one of the special funds previously, was the mechanism by which the county hired instructors that worked for the recreation councils. And then the councils reimbursed the county for the staff time associated with those various instructors. As the review from both the consultant, also a review from OOL, and also the subject of a IG report previously, that process has to sunset. Okay, so for those of us who've been around as long as I, originally the councils had their own employees that did that. They were independent contractors of the councils. Some councils have full-blown employment agencies or contractors that handle their employment. So in essence, the county can no longer be the HR arm for the council's instructors. It was determined that we are not supervising them. We don't meet the requirement to be their employer. And so that's the decrease in that funding, because actually that funding in many cases is front loaded by the councils and that money goes back to them. So,
Right.
you know, so if Catonsville Rec Council had $10,000 in the group leadership account, after the program ends, then that $10,000 will go back to Catonsville because it's their money. So that's why that kind of dips down, sir.
Thank you, Director Smith. That was the answer I was fishing for.
Sure.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Appreciate it.
I just took a minute to catch. No
That's
problem.
all good. No worries. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, all done, Councilman Young?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'm gonna call on Councilman Marks next, but I just want to let everybody know that the county council has a hard stop at 4 p.m. For our regularly scheduled work session. So if everyone could work quickly to do Q&A, and we have the DPWT next, let's try to be respectful of time. So Councilman Marks.
I'm going to be very fast. First, Director Smith, echoing Councilman Katz's comments, appreciate what you've done to engage our recreation councils. I have some of the most engaged councils in the county, as you know, and appreciate what you're doing there. I have 3 parochial issues. I'm going to ask very fast. The Dave's Cove Park, they'll be getting a plan very soon to review, correct?
Yes, sir. I believe that was email went out today to you all. Yes.
I'm just memorializing that. Second, what's the status of the pavilion at Marshy Point Nature Center?
I believe that is under design as well and fully funded.
Okay, under design. Okay. Thirdly, the Gerst Road Park. This time next year, will that be ready for construction if the funding's in the budget?
Well, the funding is in, design is in this year's budget, I believe, sir. So we'll have to go through the whole design process, which can take some time. So I could not guarantee you that it will be out for construction at this time.
Okay. Finally, I was going to ask Ms. Belcastro to put this up, but I'm just going to ask, what is the status of the letter I sent in 2019 about the reclassification of the properties for additional parkland? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have recently seen the letter. It was raised to me by OGA. As I'm sure you're aware, I was not in this seat in 2019, so I have to go back and look at that. There is some with reclassification of existing properties into parkland is not always capable to be done due to the definitions that are placed on parkland, in some cases by the state. I believe we have crafted a response, but I will go back and check with our capital team on that.
Okay, I appreciate it. It's an opportunity to add park property at no expense to the county. So I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Marks. Do any of the members have any additional questions, comments, or thoughts? Okay, hearing none, this concludes the Rec and Parks budget hearing. And Ms. Smelkinson, let's move to DPWT.
Thank you all.
Keep in mind, everyone, we have a hard stop at 4 p.m.
I would like to introduce Lisa Kispert from my office, who will be giving the budget overview.
Good afternoon, everyone. The proposed FY25 operating budget for the Department of Public Works and Transportation totals $193.5 million, an increase of $41.7 million, or 27.4% over the FY24 budget, excluding $364.5 million in the Metropolitan District Enterprise Fund, which the council does not appropriate. As you can see on pages 2 and 3 of the analysis, the largest portion of the department's operating budget, the general fund, totals $139.1 million and increases by $3.7 million, or 2.8%, primarily due to increases in personnel expenses such as COLAs, increments in longevity, and the reclassifications of various positions, service contracts for refuse collection, hauler increases, household hazardous waste disposal, and loop bus operations, offset by a decrease in snow removal services and road salt. The special fund portion of the budget totals $54.5 million, an increase of $37.9 million, or 229.3% over the FY24 budget, primarily due to the establishment of a $36.5 million restricted program to manage funds related to the transportation and disposal of commercial municipal solid waste, and an increase of $1.4 million in the Harford County Transfer and Disposal Program. Included in the department's special fund budget are $905,000 in county local share funds, which were originally appropriated in the general fund. On page 3, the exhibit displays the department's budget history, as well as its general fund reversions. The pie charts show how the proposed funding will be allocated across bureaus and expenditures. The Bureau of Solid Waste Management represents the largest program allocation, while contracts and services represent the largest category of expenditures. On page 4, the analysis notes the areas within the budget that may reflect department-specific budget flexibility in an effort to provide insight into the operational context for any potential deductions. Operating budget highlights, which begin on page 6, include personnel, non-personnel operating expenses, the commercial trash transfer and Harford County Transfer and Disposal special funds, waste disposal, landfill usage, recycling, and transportation services. Capital budget highlights begin on page 14, including the county's new paver system for prioritizing roadway resurfacing projects on page 16. At this time, I would like to turn it over for discussion.
Thank you, Ms. Kispert. Any of the members have any questions? Councilman Marks, do you have a question for Ms. Kispert, or is your hand? I think your hand may have been up for a little while. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, sure. Do any of the members have any questions, comments, or thoughts for Ms. Kispert? Okay, since we have none, let's turn over to Ms. Buckler.
Good afternoon, members of the council. For the record, I'm Lauren Buckler. Before you is the acting director of the Department of Public Works and Transportation to present our proposed budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Our department has increased transparency, used data and tracking to increase the implementation, and maintained our technical know-how. Thank you to the county executive, Madam AO, and the budget department for all of your work with DPWT. We really appreciate the support in this year's budget. DPWT has started, expanded, and completed a lot of great things over the past year. We developed our own and hired our own human resources team for the enterprise-wide efficiency review, just like you heard from the fire department. We have actively researched and redefined our recruiting efforts. In the past 4 months, the team has attended 15 different recruitment events, from college career fairs to workforce development centers, in order to engage the full range of candidates that DPWT is seeking to hire. Touching on one of the budget audit questions specific to our engineering vacancies and whether changes in our staff impact our outsourced engineering requirements. The engineering staff within the department are required to assess potential projects, manage and review outsourced design projects, design new projects, and review all private development. The engineering staffing has not changed the outsourced engineering work. Project design is outsourced when there is a technical specialty needed or the project size is too large for our current staff to absorb. Our communications team has continued to increase our messaging, launching DPWT's Facebook page with over 2,000 followers and growing. They've been a great help with our technical staff in pulling together project-specific newsletters, presentations for community outreach events, and materials to help DPWT engage with our citizens more proactively. We implemented a new capital projects business process to ensure that we are progressing on our capital projects. This includes monthly reporting on key projects and initiatives with a multidisciplinary feedback approach to help clear any hurdles. DPWT started the county's first ever food waste pilot, upgraded our scale house system to include radio frequency readers and cameras across all 3 sites, These readers are saving time, improving accuracy in material types, origins, destinations, and hauler truck numbers. This process used to require a heavy manual load and is now increased in efficiency and accuracy. In our Highway Bureau, we have a record high retention in our tech program with 80 Tech 4s. In engineering and construction, we hired 8 engineers. Both the Tech 4s and the engineers are in positions that we have had difficulty filling and hiring. Both have impacted our budgets in their specific budget categories, but overall DPWT has been able to balance this impact within the DPWT overall budget. The tech program is an excellent program DPWT offers for our existing county staff within highways and utilities. The program allows an individual to come to us with limited skills as a laborer 1 or a laborer trainee and choose to level up through the tech program. The program is free to these employees and trains them on equipment that DPWT must run, equipment like excavators and backhoes. It also provides confined space training for our staff that need to go into our underground utilities. And as the staff complete training and pass exams, they're promoted from a Tech 1 to a Tech 2 to a Tech 3 to a Tech 4. So it's a really great achievement to have so many staff that have gotten to the Tech 4 level within highways and decided to stay with the county. Within our 6 bureaus, our team of dedicated employees has made several notable achievements in the past year. In our Metropolitan District and Financing team, we inspected, repaired, and replaced approximately 1,600 water meters located in the county that showed no consumption. This means they provided no revenue to the Metropolitan Fund. The contract has generated $467,000 in initial return and projected quarterly return of $757,000 for water and sewer charges. After completing the analysis of these meters, we estimate the first year savings will be approximately $1.6 million. Repairing these meters will help us generate revenue long-term to make the system as sustainable as it's supposed to be. Again, to remind you, the system is self-sustaining. So accounts that weren't generating revenue, that cost is passed on to other users of the system. I'd like to address one of our approaches that is really comprehensive. It goes beyond quick fix and temporary solutions, our green infrastructure, stormwater, and floodplain management. Our overall goal has been to provide long-term solutions to legacy problems. While we combat these challenges, we're taking small yet significant steps towards sustainability. We've incorporated initiatives like rain gardens and bioswales. The effort, combined with small gray infrastructure projects, aims to minimize downstream impacts, ensuring we're not simply moving the problem elsewhere in the community. This year, we marked our milestone. Our first green infrastructure project at Concrete Homes community in Dundalk was completed. It addressed localized flooding by installing a modular underground stormwater retention tanks with bioswales on top to direct the flow into the tanks. This allows the rainwater to slowly dissipate into the ground after a large rain event. This particular project involved a drainage area of 2.28 acres. It's important to note that each drainage area is different. So as we're looking at these projects, we're looking at them based on a drainage area so we can solve the problem in that area. This particular project had a total cost for evaluation, design, and construction of $370,000. We're not stopping there. We're looking at additional projects to go above and beyond that. These projects have been funded with ARPA. We're really excited to be able to use these federal dollars to make significant impacts to local communities. One of the next projects we have identified is in Maiden Choice. That project will cover 2.6 acres with an estimated cost of $420,000. We also are starting the assessment for the Oliver Beach community, which will be a similar project to these ones mentioned. In the wake of the tragic Key Bridge collapse, our bridge safety has been of utmost concern. We want to make sure that we let you know that these are standard practices for Baltimore County for our bridge inspection. We evaluate on a regular basis all of our bridges in Baltimore County. We have done 270 major bridge inspections in the past year alone. Those are bridges that are over 20 feet long and carry vehicular traffic. We've done 324 minor structures which are bridges that are smaller than 20 feet or only carry pedestrian traffic. This has allowed us to identify areas that require attention and do swift remediation on those areas. In the past year, we've completed 74 minor bridge repairs and maintenance work orders, ensuring that even the smallest issue is being rectified promptly. We've also have some major projects under rehab with partial replacements or total bridge replacements. Due to the federal EPA mandate, DPWT has partnered with Baltimore City to address a crucial issue, identifying lead or copper water services within our communities. This collaborative effort underscores our commitment to ensuring the safety and well-being of our residents. To achieve this goal, we have initiated a comprehensive inventory of all service line materials. A dedicated website has been established to assist with this endeavor, providing property owners with essential information regarding their service lines. Additionally, mailers have been distributed to property owners outlining how they can test their service lines. Furthermore, we've engaged the community with several in-person meetings for awareness. They've provided a great opportunity for the community to give us feedback and voice their concerns. DPWT and the county has also offered the service of sending an engineer to your house. We've dedicated a staff to be able to go out. To date, we've had 36 requests from citizens to come out and check their service line for them. We've been to 23 of these homes at this point, and the next 10 are scheduled in the next month. Upon completion of the inventory, we will work on a multi-year effort to replace the service lines that are identified. On our water and sewer system improvements, we have aging infrastructure. We're confronted with those challenges on a regular basis, and this has become the cornerstone of our 6-year capital improvement program, is the work that we're doing in this area. In the past year, we've installed 11 miles of new and replacement water and sewer mains, reinforcing this key infrastructure. We've also undertaken the rehabilitation of 24 miles of sanitary sewer for continued reliability and functionality. We work with Baltimore City on a regular basis on cost-sharing projects that impact our county residents that are downstream of the county's borders. Looking ahead, we have several projects of interest on the horizon. These include the Charles Street Water Main Replacement Project, which is for construction, the ongoing Reisterstown Road Water Main Replacement Construction Project, the nearly complete Millers Island Water Main Replacement Project, and the planned Lake Roland Sewer Interceptor Structural Rehabilitation Project. These projects underscore our approach to infrastructure maintenance and dedication to the evolving needs of our community. Let's talk about sidewalk connectivity. We got a new program out on our website in December of 2023, showing citizens how they can ask us for sidewalk connectivity. Since we put that out in December, we've had over 300 requests for this program. The outpouring of community engagement underscores the importance of pedestrian infrastructure in fostering connectivity and accessibility. To date, 58 of the requests have been physically evaluated by our team, and we're looking to move forward with projects that rate high in connectivity to transit and schools. We're evaluating those against a standardized rating system. It's also important to note that some of these requests do not meet the requirements of this program, but they do meet the requirements of other programs DPWT has. For example, sidewalk replacement for existing cracked sidewalk, or they may need to become their own standalone capital project. And we forward information on either of those programs to residents that have requested information. Another important project to mention is the Honeygo and Cross Traffic Circle. This will be the largest traffic circle completed by Baltimore County. The project was funded in the past year's budget and is at 30% design. The final design is expected to be completed in the spring of 2025. Based on the preliminary plans, we are coordinating land acquisition efforts with 5 properties that will be impacted. We hope to have these negotiated with these property owners before we get to the 65% design, or after we get through 65% design. We're aiming to go into construction in the summer of 2025, pending the land acquisition for those 5 impacted properties. Another important thing to mention is DPWT is the procurement entity for other entities within other departments within the county that need engineering or construction services. In the past year, DPWT advertised 30 construction contracts. 2 were for the Department of Environmental Protection and Sustainability, and 12 were for property management within that number. We also provide inspection services for the Department of Environmental Protection and Sustainability. The picture you see on the screen is us overseeing the shoreline restoration at the Chesterwood Park on behalf of DEPS. Another thing to note is our development review. We take pride in our role as disciplinary experts and system managers supporting agencies like PAI and others by conducting thorough reviews of our technical plans for proposed developments. Our assessments delve into critical aspects such as the impact on existing roads and traffic patterns, ensuring that any proposed development integrates seamlessly with the surrounding infrastructure and the impacts to floodplains and drainage infrastructure. We also evaluate the availability of sewer capacity and verify there's adequate water pressure to serve new communities, essential for both daily use and fire protection measures. Over the past year, we have taken on more than 50 plans for various private developments for review. Within our Utilities Bureau, we oversee the operation and maintenance of the entire sewer and storm system. This involves a network of pipes, channels, and infrastructure that gather and transport sewage and stormwater within Baltimore County. With over 120 pumping stations, approximately 2,500 grinder pumps, several drinking water stations, and a small wastewater plant, we make sure everything is functioning. We have crews that are set up to respond 24/7 to emergencies. This includes response to grinder pumps on private properties. If a grinder pump was installed as part of a county health project, the county continues to maintain it. These were installed in areas in the county where traditional gravity systems are not possible. The Bureau is also responsible for the processing of approximately 4,000 commercial sewage discharge permits and 50 industrial sewage permits. We are continuing a regular relationship with the Department of Health on a monthly basis to talk through grease issues. When we see grease clogs out in the public sewer system, that grease came from somewhere. So we're having coordination meetings with health on restaurants in the area that may have citations from inside the restaurant to make sure we can coordinate what's going outside with what's going on inside and stop backups from happening before they occur. Our engineering and regulation system division is one of those lesser known entities within DPWT. We operate a lab, and that lab has finally started implementing electronic payments, which is exciting and a huge step in the right direction for the vendors that work with us, for Miss Utility, for these discharge permits, for these 4,000 entities. We've also started a partnership with CCBC on the lab partnership to allow their students to come in and see how this lab works in real life. In highways, we are responsible for over 8,000 roads. We've got the record high employee retention, which is fantastic. We've been talking to council about our rollout of the paver program. We are very excited that this is out. We have evaluated all roads in Baltimore County at this point, and we are working on those in the poorest condition. Paver is a rating system from 0 to 100. Baltimore County has roads in the 30s and 40s that are considered very poor condition. We're working to get through all of those with this next fiscal year's budget, unless they have an impacted utility project. We want to make sure we are good stewards of the taxpayers' money and we don't have to replace a road we just repaved. On transportation, we're doing a lot of things on transportation. We're moving into the data era. We are using cameras. We are using traffic footage in order to do braking diagnostics, bike diagnostics on the loop and make sure that we are doing the most efficient routes possible. We've started implementing rapid flashing beacons. You may have seen one outside the old courthouse at this point to help with pedestrian safety. We've also started some energy efficient lighting solutions for our loop bus stops. Touching on one of the auditor questions about the loop funding, currently it's funded with a significant portion from ARPA and some funding from the general funds. We are applying for multiple grants going forward in order to fund this and potential futures expansions of the loop. Want to touch on solid waste. We have a lot of questions about solid waste. We are responsible for 240,000 single family homes and 82,000 multifamily units. We have really done a great job upping alternatives to just landfilling materials. We have 100 homes enrolled in our organics pilot program, and so far we've diverted 250 tons of waste from this program. We started a medical recycling collaboration with the Maryland Department of Aging. We've, from that, been able to donate 300 canes, 100 pieces of bathroom equipment, 75 wheelchairs that have been recycled to those in need. We have a partnership on recycling bikes in order to get bikes to those in need. Following up on one of the auditor questions related to the Key Bridge tragedy, we have been working with our recycling vendors on the ability to ship materials out of the Port of Baltimore. We're working with them on the option to either pay to ship the material out of a nearby port or sell the material to a vendor that is stateside. We've also improved our e-cycling efforts with new contracts. We have a new system in order to sort polypropylene, so we can really get that out of our recycling stream and make our overall recycling much better. We have updated our scale house operations so we can track better what is coming in, coming out, moving through the dump without a manual process. This is electronic with the scanning, which is great. Additionally, we have implemented hauler evaluations. This is something that should make everybody happy. To date, we have fined 3 haulers at a tier 1 and 1 at a tier 2. So we are tracking these responses. If somebody calls in and stuff isn't being picked up, it isn't being picked up on time, there's issues. We have a tracking system. You get so many hits and you get a fine. We are really holding these haulers accountable, which should help cut down on some of our customer service issues in this area. We have also begun spot checking loads to make sure that the loads are carrying what they are supposed to be carrying to the right places they're supposed to be carrying. Overall, in conclusion, DPWT is doing a lot of things. I know we're really short on time. I'm trying to make this really fast because I know you need to get to council. We have a great team. We make things run. We make things happen. We are trying to get things implemented, smoothed out, better for the citizens. And we are here and happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Buckler. Do any of the members have any questions? And Ms. Buckler, could I ask you to stop sharing your screen so I could see if any of the members have questions, comments? Councilman Ertel.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Director Buckler, could you elaborate on what we're doing with Harford County's trash? Why are we involved in that?
This is a legacy agreement. Harford County assisted in building our transfer station. And as part of that agreement,
They built our what? Our transportation.
our transfer station.
Oh, okay.
So we have transfer stations that accept the trash in order to sort the trash and get the trash to the right spot. So this agreement predates me. We are working on a new agreement with Harford County related to that, making sure that we are recouping the amount that it costs the county to take Harford County's trash.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it went from, I can't find it went from 9 million in 23 to 16 million in 25.
Or the
well, it's for the appropriation. I mean, but it was 15 million last year. Now it's 16.4, but in 23 it was 9 million. So it's gone up 7 million in 2 years.
That's correct. And that's one of the reasons we're working with Harford County to renegotiate this agreement with them.
Okay. I mean, is that something we think we'll do sometime soon? in the
It,
next
it's
year?
active. It's active. We have engaged.
When
with
did they build the transfer station? How long ago was that?
2013.
2013. Okay. Um, I had another question, but I've lost my. We have some, I know there was some sidewalk, personally, we had not personally, but we had a sidewalk project for Kenwood Avenue. Did you ever find out, is that still on or?
I will double check with State Highway. That was going to be a state highway funded project, and with their budget cuts, I have to check with them on where that stands.
Okay.
But I will get back to you on it.
Okay. All right, great. All right, that's all I had. I know
Okay.
we're pressed.
Councilman Ortel, Councilman Marks.
15 seconds. Lauren, you're doing a great job. There's going to be a massive infrastructure project in Central Perry Hall from 7 Courts over to White Marsh Mall. I really think we need a community meeting on that fairly soon. Just passing that along, okay?
Yes, sir. That's the sewer interceptor project, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, thanks very much. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, do any of the other members have any additional questions, comments, or thoughts? Okay, Ms. Buckler, I promised that I would not mention the Lake Roland sewer. So I'm not going to mention the Lake Roland sewer and the areas of that were deficient in the basic services map. So I'm not going to mention those. Okay.
Sounds great. I'm talking to you at council tonight about them again. So.
Okay. Do any of the members have any additional questions or comments? Okay, this concludes the DPWT budget hearing. I want to thank everyone for respecting the time, and it looks like we're going to begin close to on time with our regularly scheduled work session. Thanks again, everyone.